Another country, which might come as a surprise, but is not good for Black women when it comes to dating. Hola, hola mi gente, ¿qué pasa? Y bienvenidos de nuevo a mi canal. If you're new here, what is up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ariana and I'm a digital nomad sharing my journey as I travel around the world. As you already can tell by the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about what my experience has been like dating abroad. I put a poll up on my Instagram and it was a unanimous vote that people wanted me to spill all the tea on my dating life and what it has been like dating outside of the States. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first topic is how I have met people while traveling. And I've met people in a variety of different ways. When I first started traveling, I was on the dating apps. So I've met a few guys that way. But besides that, usually I've just met people in person off chance at different events. Like I met a guy once going to a language exchange event. Another time was at Negro Fest in Medellin. So yeah, I'll just randomly meet men in passing. I had the question, who usually approaches who first? And I might like smile or return like a friendly eye contact, nod or whatever to a guy, but normally they are the ones to come and approach me. Honestly, more often than not, I'm usually pretty oblivious to my surroundings, and I'm generally just friendly to everybody. So 9 times out of 10, like the guy's usually approaching me. I haven't found myself too often like approaching a guy when it comes to dating. Now to get into what is my type. I wouldn't say that I have like a very strict or specific type. There is a certain type of man I'm physically attracted to, but I think for the most part I'm fairly open. I hate to say this. No, I don't. I do not find myself attracted to Caucasian men. It just is what it is. White men are not my thing. Blue hair, blonde eyes, it's just not something that I've ever been attracted to. However, that's not to say there aren't, you know, attractive white men out there. It's just not my personal type. So that being said, I am attracted to Black men. I am attracted to Latino men. I am attracted to what my friends and I define as spicy whites. So a spicy white would be someone who is pale or light skinned, but they aren't necessarily white. Like for example, I would say a lot of the Turkish men here in Istanbul, you can consider them spicy white, like dark features, tan skin, but they're not like dark skin or like black men, but they're also not white. I don't know, it's hard to define. I consider them to be spicy white. Like they're not the typical like white man. Like when I think of a white man, I don't think of Turkish men, but I also don't put them in the category as black men and all the other race categories they don't really fit in either. So they would be a spicy white. I do prefer like guys that are bigger than me. I think that's probably like most women. I like to be the little spoon. But for me, when it comes to physical characteristics, physical traits, I'm not super hung up on those. It's not as high priority as what's on the inside for me. Obviously, someone that I find physically attractive will catch my attention, but to keep my attention, I think it's a lot more important to have other qualities that I deem a little bit more important. It's really difficult for me to date someone that I'm not intellectually compatible with, so that's a high priority for me. Having someone who is driven and who's confident, I find attractive as well. Definitely like someone who is adventurous. Obviously, I do a lot of traveling. I go a lot of different places, so I like someone who would be interested in those type of things as well. Someone that is health conscious is high priority for me. And that's just lifestyle compatibility. I take my health very seriously and it's part of just like my everyday routine, part of my lifestyle. So finding someone that matches that is important. And then some other traits, just someone who's funny. I like to laugh. Someone who is caring, someone who is socially aware, and someone who's God-centered. I am of Christian faith. I'm a believer and I don't believe in following anyone who is not being led by God. So yeah. So as far as traits and characteristics go, things I'm attracted to, that pretty much sums it up. Another non-negotiable for me is having a passport, for obvious reasons. I enjoy traveling, and I would want a partner that can travel with me. This has presented some difficulties depending on where the guy is from, because not all passports have access to travel everywhere, but I still feel like I'm pretty open. Just having a passport and having the desire to travel is really what's most important for me. All right, so now let's talk about some dates that I have been on. I'll start out with the best. No, I'm gonna start out with the worst. I'm gonna start with the worst. Let's start out with the bad and end with the good. One of my worst dates. I'm laughing because I don't even know if I would call this a date. My friends know I don't consider a date to be a date unless someone says I'm taking you out on a date. Otherwise, I feel like I am just meeting up with a friend or meeting up with someone and getting to know them. But yeah, this was a guy that I met in Israel on a dating app, and he basically wanted to meet up. Now, given it's on a dating app, okay, cool, I guess we can technically call it a date. But I was asking him repeatedly, like, okay, meeting where? What are we gonna do? What are the plans behind this, you know, gathering? And he had no straight answer. He just kept saying he was gonna pick me up. I'm like, I don't know you. I don't want you to pick me up. No, I'm not comfortable with that. This is my first time ever meeting you. Not to mention, I don't remember too much about the conversation, but knowing myself, this is why I don't have dating apps to this day. But knowing the type of person that I am, I doubt our conversation was very long because I don't like going back and forth texting. I would rather just meet in person. So anyways, I am out that day. I think I was like out on the beach just chilling, and I told him, yeah, we can meet up. Why don't you just come meet me at the beach and we can figure out from there where to go. This man did not want, he only wanted to get me in his car so that he could take me to his house. And he kept saying like, oh yeah, we can go to my house and watch, I can't remember, it was some show that I had zero interest in seeing. And he kept like telling me this over and over as if that was supposed to like make me want to go. Like, oh yeah, we can go watch this show that you don't even care about. And I was like, dude, like, what is wrong with you? How do you offer to take me out on a date and you're not even trying to do anything that I want to do? I told you we could just simply go walk on the beach and like talk. I'm not asking for much. Like, if you want to try to get to know someone, to me that seems like a reasonable date. Like, for the first time meeting up with a stranger. So long story short, he ends up coming to pick me up. I get him in his car and tell him he can drive to park his car so we can get out and go to the beach. To which he tries to push back, and I was like, either you're going to park the car and we're gonna go on the beach, or I'm going to get out. Those are your options, because are you trying to kidnap me right now? Like, what is this? So he parks the car, we go to the beach. This man's conversation is on zero. I mean, this is what I mean about intellectually compatible. It was a fail. Like, it was pulling teeth. He did not know how to communicate. Obviously, we had two very different ideas of what this date was going to be, because he had no intentions of like actually getting to know me. And the more that I learned, you know, trying to pull teeth and get answers out of him, the more I was just like, yeah, no, this is going nowhere. So after like maybe 30-40 minutes, I think I had told him I had like dinner plans or something like that. I can't remember, but I had it out. I had it out on the way in. Like, I only have this set amount of time. It was like an hour to hang out with you, and then I gotta go somewhere. So I proceeded to walk to a restaurant. I'm going to get dinner, and he's like, oh, I'll come with you. And I was like, no, this wasn't supposed to involve you. This was just me, but whatever. You can sit here while I eat. So that's what he did. Like, I went to dinner to go eat at a restaurant. I'm assuming he didn't have no money. I don't know what was up, but he literally just sat there. I'm like, if you gonna come and occupy space and take up my time, the least you could do is pay for my meal. But no, he sat there, watched me eat, watched me pay for it. And then even afterwards, he still tried to get me to come with him. And I was just like, you're not getting the picture. That was easily one of the worst dates I have ever been on. Another bad date that I have been on, again, the setup was not where I thought it was a date. I was in Costa Rica. I met or crossed paths with this guy from the States, actually, and it was a black guy. And I'm like, oh, black person, speaks English, you know. What's up, my brother? So I'm approaching this as like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, learn more about you as like a person. And he made it seem that way too. I was leaving the next day to fly wherever I was headed to next. We briefly had a chat wherever we met. I think I was walking around the building like filming. He happened to be staying in the same building. We sparked up a conversation like, oh, where are you from? You know, what are you doing here? It was real brief, but I was like, yeah, I am about to go, and I think he was doing some work. So he was like, oh, well, you know, since it's your last night, we could meet up later and get some food and, you know, talk more about travel. I'm like, okay, cool. To me, that sounds very platonic. That's very much like, hey, let's meet up, you know, have a little fun, be buddies, and go to a date. That's not a date to me. However, same kind of scenario. I was asking him, did he know where he wanted to go? Nothing to contribute. So I was like, hey, this place is up the street from me. I can walk. We can be here, right? So like, I'll pick the place, fine. So I get to the restaurant. I think he showed up like maybe like 15 or 20 minutes late. I don't know. I wasn't too bothered by it because, again, like, if I'm meeting up with friends, I'm not pressed. But I was not checking the clock. I don't know what I was doing. I might have already ordered food or got a drink or something. So he comes and he's like, oh, I'm just so sorry I'm late for our date. It's like, this is a what? I'm sorry, you didn't mention this, so we talked about this earlier. And if it's a date, like, why didn't you organize anything? Like, you didn't pick the restaurant. You had the nerve to show up like 15, 20 minutes late. Like, what? And then get this, like, by the end of the dinner, I'm paying for my food. Again, this is not feeling like a date, sir. This feels like a meetup. It feels very platonic. The conversation at least was much better than the other bad date with the Israeli guy, but it was very much giving like not compatible. Like, we obviously have interest in travel. That's cool, but we are very different people, and that's fine. We can be friends, but by the end of, maybe not even the end, just after, you know, 20-30 minutes of conversation, it was clear like, okay, this is a buddy. This is a buddy, because we don't got much in common like that. At least that's what I thought. I don't know if he got that memo. Either way, once we got finished paying separately for our food, then we go to walk around, and this man has like no direction. He doesn't know where he's going. He don't speak a lick of Spanish, which, no judgment. I should have mentioned that on the things that I'm attracted to. I like bilingual men. I just do. Obviously, I speak Spanish myself. I want to have a family where I can raise bilingual children. So the goal would be to have someone who ideally speaks Spanish or another language. I'm open because I also like learning new things. So yeah, that is attractive to me. A man that speaks more than one language. So it wasn't the fact that this guy didn't speak another language. It was the fact that he was like forcing me to go talk to people to like get directions or like figure out where to go next. And I was just like, this is how you lead, sir? Like, I'm not feeling this. I'm ready to go home. At this point, I'm ready to go home. Because it's not fun that I'm sitting here translating on your behalf. You came out here with no plan, no idea of what was going on, what you're doing. You have the nerve to call this a date? This is a bad date. We should have left it as a meetup. We met up for dinner. We met as travel friends and keep it pushing. Anywho, I haven't talked to that man since. I might still follow him on Instagram, but I don't remember his name. So yeah. All right, so now let's spin it to some of the best dates that I've had, which my number one best date, ironically, was actually with an Israeli man. Like, after that really horrible date with that last guy, I had a really good date with another guy, to my surprise. To my surprise. We again met through a dating app, and it was kind of just like a quick like, how are you? What are you doing here? How do you like Israel? Do you want to meet up? I like those kind of comments. Short and sweet to the point. Short and sweet to the point. And not only that, he was like, it was kind of late at night. It was like maybe 10 o'clock when he was like, what are your plans? You want to go out? Normally I'd be like, no, I'm in the bed. But with Israeli time being like, it was like 6 or 7 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time, and that's when I work. So usually I didn't have to log in for work until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So it was like, yeah, I mean, like I know it's better to do. It's 10 o'clock, but why not? So he was like, okay. Turns out we lived like a block from each other, and I was like maybe a block and a half, 2 blocks walking to the beach, and he lived on the way towards the beach. So he was like, yeah, we can meet up and just have wine on the beach. I was like, yes, finally somebody that gets it. First of all, he planned it himself. It didn't take a lot, but like, take initiative. Initiative is attractive, okay? So yeah, he actually planned out something. And when I tell you he planned out, it was like, it sounded so simple, but he made it like elevated. Like he came, I walked and met up with him, and then we walked together. When I met up with him, he had like a bag on his back. I didn't know what was in the book bag. But when we got there, he like pulled out a blanket. He had brought real wine glasses. Like, I guess that's why he was like kind of walking like awkwardly and slow, because he didn't want them to break. But he brought like actual wine glasses and like a bottle of wine on it. And I was like, oh wow, like how sweet. And so we sat on the beach and we talked, watched the stars, and it was just great conversation. Like, we were in a similar industry. We both work in tech. So it was really, the intellectual compatibility was there. It was really easy to converse with him. I felt like I was understood. I could understand him. And y'all know about my time in Israel, it was horrible. So basically I was venting to him about like how much I did not like it there. And he actually heard me out. And he wasn't like trying to mansplain to me why I was going through the things I was going through or why it was my fault. Like, he, if anything, could kind of relate, because he was looking to leave Israel as well and see if he could get a visa in Portugal or live somewhere else. So he kind of understood where I was coming from. And it was just nice to have somebody to vent to, someone that got it, someone that was actually interested in hearing the words coming out of my mouth. Like, So yeah, that was one of the best dates that I've ever had. The second best date that I have had, and I don't know, I'm giving these out in order, but I don't know if I'd categorize them in order. Like, they're all really good dates. We'll just put them on the same rating scale. But it was a trip to Cartagena, a whole vacation. I'm laughing because it was not supposed to be a whole vacation. This was the guy that I actually met at the language exchange event. And when we met, it was by random chance. Like, we happened to be sitting at the same table. I actually was paying him no mind when I first sat down at that table, because I don't know, that night I was just, I don't know what it was. It wasn't that he wasn't attractive or anything. I just was kind of like in my own world that night. And he went out of his way to make sure that I noticed him. And so we struck up a conversation, found out we had a lot in common. He's actually Mexican American, so it was really easy to relate to him. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of fun because he spoke Spanish and English. So like, we were able to talk and switch with both languages, and he could like teach me new words and things like that. So yeah, it was cool. I felt like he understood me, like, obviously on an intellectual level, but also like culturally, because he got, you know, just like inside jokes or like things about American culture that sometimes gets lost in translation when you're talking to people that don't understand American culture as well. So that was nice. We hit it off that night. He initially had plans to go to Santa Marta. He was kind of like traveling through, like he had been through Chile and was going through Colombia and like traveling different places. And so he was like, let's go to Cartagena. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, I don't go to Cartagena with you, I just met you. But then he kept pressing and was like actually serious about it. And then he bought the tickets, and I was like, oh, I do like Cartagena. So yeah, I went with him only with the mindset of going for the weekend. I was like, we'll go on Friday, I'll be back Monday. I didn't get back till the next week. We spent a whole week in Cartagena, and it was a great time. I'm not gonna lie, it was a really good time. Since I stayed for the week, I was working. Again, this is another guy that worked in tech, so very easy for us to get along. We would work during the week and then like go out and have fun at night. It was a nice balance. It was a good date slash vacation. Obviously we were really compatible, we got along well, but in the long run it didn't work out. A big problem was we weren't on the same travel path. Also, he was not 100% with me up front, but I still consider that one of my best dates, even though it was a whole vacation. Okay, and then another best date, again, a very simple, I'm really a simple girl. We didn't do much, but the scenario, like the way that we met, was very much like out of a movie. Like it was just like, is this real life? So I was flying from Cali to Medellin in Colombia, and I'm in the airport, and like it's early in the morning, it was an early flight. I go to the bathroom and I'm in the women's bathroom. I don't remember what I was doing, maybe like washing my hands, and this guy walks this guy walks in, and like he's startled, I'm startled, we're both looking like like I'm like, what are you doing in the women's bathroom? He like realizes like he's in the wrong bathroom, and like he leaves, right? Embarrassing moment, haha. So later on, like I go, I'm like sitting and like eating breakfast or getting a coffee or whatever, and like I see him like in passing and just kind of like chuckle to myself and go about my business. My flight gets called to board, and I realize we're in the same line. Then when we get off the plane, I go to my hostel. I was staying at Selena Hostel, and lo and behold, this guy is here as well. I'm just like, okay. And he was just like, so what's your name? Because like at this point we have seen each other in passing so many times, it's wild. And he's obviously staying at the same hostel as me, so that was interesting. And yeah, from there we hit it off. So this guy was Colombian, but he spoke English as well. He was a lawyer. And basically checking into the hostel, Selena doesn't let you check in till like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and like I said, it was a really early flight, so we were there at like 8 or 9 in the morning. So he was just like, you want to go explore? I was like, yeah, why not? So yeah, we ended up doing like a little city tour. We went to Pueblito Paisa, which that was my first time ever going. We also went to Comuna 13, which I had been to before, but I got to do like the tour in Spanish this time, so that was kind of cool. So yeah, that was really fun, like a little city tour. Told y'all like adventurous men, so we hit it off pretty well, but I think his intentions and my intentions were a little different, so in the end we weren't as compatible as I thought, but it was still a nice date overall. And then last, one more best date that comes to mind would be in Italy. Again, this was with dating apps, and we met up. He picked me up in his car, which now that I'm thinking about this, like with the Israeli guy, it sounded weird. With this guy, it wasn't weird. It must have been a communication thing, because it wasn't weird. Like, I think he had a plan in mind. He told me we were going to go to like a looking point to see like all of the city in Florence, and it was really nice. Like even the drive up was really nice. He wasn't creepy at all. And this was one time where I guess you can call it like a language barrier, because he barely spoke any English. But he spoke Italian and I speak Spanish, so I would speak to him in Spanish, he would speak to me in Italian, and like we made it work. It really worked out. That like the languages are close enough where I can pretty much kind of understand when people are talking to me. When it comes to reading it, I'm completely lost, but when I hear it, I can kind of understand what's going on, and he could understand me speaking Spanish. So that's how we kind of navigated that language barrier. He's the only one that I feel like didn't speak any languages that I know, but it was still cool. He was really nice, a gentleman overall, and yeah, it was a nice time being in Florence, because I got to see some of the things I wouldn't have seen on my own. Okay, so this is just obviously my personal opinion, like this entire video, but some of the countries that I think have some of the finest men are Colombia, Italy, the Netherlands, Brazil. Brazil has attractive men. Israel and Turkey also have attractive men, but it's just physical attraction. 9 times out of 10, I have found when I get to know them, it's just like, just smile, don't talk, please. So yeah, those are the countries that come to mind that I have been to that I feel like have had the most attractive men. On the flip side, some of the countries that I feel like were the worst for dating, specifically as a black woman, for me, Croatia Like I said, I'm not into blonde hair, blue-eyed, and that is all you see in Croatia. So that just was not it for me when it came to dating. Israel, even though I had my best date there, the men were a headache. They were a headache. Like, I really just, I don't know how I managed to match up with that one guy. I think it was God helping me level up my sanity because I was about to lose it. But the men were just so rude and aggressive, and this is just off of just everyday passing normal encounters. I had one random stranger pull up to me as I'm walking home and try to get me to get into his car as if I was a prostitute. I mean, it was just, no, Israel was not it. Turkey either. So here in Turkey, it's really unfortunate because, like I said, the men are attractive, but I have had some of the worst horror stories. Oh my gosh. I think out of any place that I have been to, here has been the worst. A lot of them do not understand no. I have had to block so many men on Instagram, and I have never had to do that before. Like, I don't take Instagram as something super serious, so I've connected with people on Instagram and just either blowing me up, calling me nonstop, or just saying some off the wall crazy stuff. I don't even want to get into it. Just know that no, Turkey, as far as dating as a black woman, is a no-go for me because I feel like I'm a walking fetish. Like, I'm not even looked at as a human or a person. Men just see me and automatically just think unthinkable things that I don't want to think about. And it's just like, I mean, take me to dinner first at least, my goodness. And I don't know if it's only because I am a black woman. I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that I'm a foreigner and I stand out more as a black woman as a foreigner because there's not, you know, obviously black people are the minority here. It's just, Turkish men are not it for me. I wouldn't recommend coming here to date because it has been stressful. Another country which might come as a surprise but is not good for black women when it comes to dating is Colombia. There is a running joke in the Black Women Expat WhatsApp group that if you want a man in Colombia, you need to import him because you're not gonna find him in Colombia. The scenario is you have people traveling to Colombia to date Colombian women. You won't fault that. You like what you like, your preference is yours, but they're not checking for black women. And then you have Colombian men there who may like the idea of a black woman and may even entertain it for a bit, but at the end of the day, they desire and are expected to bring home a Colombian woman. So can't fault them. You like what you like, it's your preference. But I have just found, as far as dating goes, when I'm in Colombia, like, I'm not dating. I am enjoying Medellin. I am enjoying the country and exploring different places. I love Colombia, but it ain't for dating. And then the last country I've been to where dating is just not it, South Africa. I don't even have much to say on that. Like, if you haven't seen my South African videos, you can go check those out. But as a dark-skinned black woman, just not desired on one hand, or you had on the other hand men that didn't respect women and were just aggressive, and it just was not, it wasn't it. Dating in South Africa, not it for me. I wouldn't recommend it. 10 out of 10 no. Some lessons that I have learned while dating. I kind of already alluded to this before, but the dating apps, just, they're not it. I found them to be completely useless when it comes to trying to find a serious partner or a serious relationship, because 9 times out of 10 people on those dating apps are either just passing through, or they're anticipating that you're just looking for like a one-night stand, or, you know, just a fun time, since you're not going to be living there long term. As someone who is literally traveling to look for where they want to live and trying on the expat hat, that's not my scenario. I'm usually passing through places for months at a time, and like I said, I'm seeking a partner who could also travel with me. So yeah, I'm not just looking for like hookups or like short-term flings, and that's what a lot of those dating apps have to offer, unfortunately. And then a personal takeaway that I have just learned while dating, I'm hesitant to say this, because I don't want to meet some guy and guy play me, joke on me. But I really have found that when it comes to American men, just any type of American men, not just Black American men, but like the culture of America is not my preference when it comes to seeking a partner. I would rather find someone that is of a different culture. It's just so much trauma in America that I've had to work through on my own. And yeah, I would rather deal with somebody else's trauma from a different place, balance out our traumas, I guess, is a way to look at it. Or I mentioned before, like how I like to learn new things, experience different cultures, really. And I feel like when it comes to American men, I have more often than not found myself bored. I guess the last time that I dated an American man would have been that worst date that I told you about in Costa Rica. But I've just found that when I have gone out with American guys, like it just is basic. Like it's, oh, dinner and drinks, or like conversation just won't be it for me, because it's all focused on just like media and music. And while those things are cool, there's so much more out there to talk about, to discuss, to be into. And yeah, I say that loosely. I don't want to give any like definitives, like if it's an American man, I'm absolutely not going to date him. And now if it's an American man, he got no passport, yeah, we're not even talking. But I will say that it has been harder for me to connect with someone that is of American culture. And that sounds so weird, being that I am American myself. But hey, opposites attract, so maybe that's part of why that is what it is. But that's just one thing that I have learned about myself since traveling and dating abroad. I think another thing that I have learned has been to not be afraid to stand your ground and speak your mind on what you really want. And it's really important to over communicate, just because, again, dealing with different cultures, dealing with language barriers, just dealing with people that come from a different walk of life, you have to make sure that you're understood. Communication is so key, and I think that is something that gets a little bit more challenging when you are dating someone that comes from a different background than you. Definitely not impossible, and it's a challenge that I welcome, obviously, if I am attracted to men that speak, other languages. But it is something to consider if you are thinking about dating outside of your home country or what you're typically used to. And I think my last takeaway or lesson that I have learned while dating has been that it's fun. Like it has been so much more fun for me to go on dates outside of the States. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's a heavy stress of like who pays for what, and like who's doing this part, who's playing this role when it comes to like dating in the States. And all of that is just, it's eliminated, really. Like it's not something you even think about. And you guys could probably tell from some of the best date stories that I've shared with you, like just like another door or another realm is open when it comes to dating. It's not your typical dinner and a movie or dinner and drinks type of date. There's so many other like fun things to do. So yeah, I have really enjoyed my experience dating abroad. And I would recommend it for anyone who wants to switch things up. If you're in the States and finding yourself getting bored, maybe take a trip, go somewhere for a month and try it out. Just don't go to any of those countries I mentioned that are not good for dating for Black women. Just save yourself the time. So with this overall positive experience, it leads to the question of, why am I still single? And that is the question for God, not for me. That is the question of questions. I honestly believe that I am still single because it's just a time for me to still be single. I don't know the full answers. I know there's been a lot of maturing that has happened with me, and just shaping my perspective and just opening my mind up to different things. I feel like in this period I have really grown a lot in my faith. That has been a big thing. So yeah, all of that, just I guess it just needs space for me to do that in a single season, and so that's where I am. But yeah, I don't have a direct answer. I really hate when people ask me that question, why are you still single? Like, I don't know, take it up to God. I ask him. I've been asking you, ask on my behalf, please. So yeah, I don't have a direct answer as to why I'm still single, but we will see. I don't anticipate staying single forever, that's for sure. And I have definitely had more good experiences than not dating while traveling. So I'm going to continue doing that. You know, it's working. I just haven't crossed paths with the right person just yet. But what I really do love about dating abroad is all the possibilities. Like, you just never know who you're gonna meet, who you're gonna run into. So really it's just a matter of timing. When the time is right, I will meet the right person that will be a fit for me. And yeah, I look forward to when that time comes. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying this time. It has its ups and downs because traveling solo, like, don't get it twisted. It's got some rough moments where it would be really nice to have a partner to kind of help balance some of these things out. Specifically carry suitcases. It's a lot. But yeah, overall, I have enjoyed the single season, and I think a lot of it has to do with being able to meet new people, have these new experiences, and just date in a way that I wasn't dating before. Date in a way where I get exposed to new things and it's enjoyable, and I really get to not only meet and get to know someone, but also have fun while doing it. That is it. That is all that I have to share. If you guys have any particular questions about dating abroad, please do drop them down in the comments below. Also, if you have your own experiences with dating abroad, I want to hear about them. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever dated someone outside of the country and how did it turn out. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this video with someone who might find it interesting. I will check you guys out in the next one. Ciao, ciao.